Greetings, sci-fiction awesomeness. My name is Owen C. Cotter, and you are digitally simulcasting just about everywhere on TikTok. Not TikTok, X, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and I think a few other places. We are having an amazing guest coming on here shortly, next 10 minutes or so. His name is Ben Mauro. You may know him, you may not know him. He's got an amazing new sci-fi post-apocalyptic graphic novel he's got out. It's phenomenal. It's really cool. So I'll let you go over that, and we'll talk with him about goodies. He's also worked in the motion picture industry as well as video games. Right quick, we've got some breaking news and a lot of news items we're going to go over right quick. Everybody's having a beautiful, I think it's Thursday. Things a blur. It's like Swiss cheese, like Quantum Leap. Here's the site at SciFiction.com. There it is, SciFiction.com. You are watching SciFiction. If I popped up in your feed, you're watching SciFiction, and I'm your host, Owen C. Cotter. It's a historic week for Dracula fans. Some video game news here. This is big-time stuff. This was just announced today. We just announced we're going to be doing a Dracula film, so stay tuned for more info on that. Dracula Dark Reign, the video game, is a Metroidvania-style game coming out by Incube 8 and SpaceBot Interactive. And I have seen and looked at the demo footage. It is addictively fun, equally as popular or as fun to play as all the classic Dracula. Dark Reign is up there with the Metroidvania goodness. Pre-orders opening April 28th in 5 days. Go to this link here, which is on incubategames.com. Click it at the bottom of our article on scifiction.com. This post is in the very front of the site. Chris McCauley, I'm his agent, by the way, everybody, and he's my client, a good buddy. We've got a lot of cool stuff we're working on right now, and even more stuff in the pipeline, so stay tuned. The Dracula film, there's Ghost Protocol, just stay tuned. Comics, video games, board games, novels, anything and everything. Got other news here. Also John Peel, the famous sci-fi author, recently I just joined the documentary that I'm producing, as well as Evan Morton's our executive producer. He's the editor and wizard. I'm just merely one of the guys and the gals on the team. But of course, I'm a guy. So Star Trek The Next Generation, Here There Be Dragons. He's done a lot of work, John Peel, in Star Trek, Bad Dracula, Bedlam, and I believe Doctor Who. He did When the Stars Scream, which Chris worked on that with John Peel, Power of the Daleks, and it goes on and on and on. He is a very, very, very well-known science fiction writer, and he has joined the Legacy to a landmark celebration of genre legacies, brought his wealth of knowledge and beautiful words of wisdom to celebrate Chris McCauley's work in science fiction and pop culture. I cannot tell you the amount of people and individuals and just top tier just talent, from actors, A-list actors, A-list producers, publishers, artists, gaming, everything that spans the crown infinity gems of all of pop culture genre and beyond, from horror, fantasy, you name it, that have joined on this documentary that we're producing. This fly is I think he's a robot. I think this guy came in earlier and is roided out, probably from space. I don't know if Jeff Goldblum's here, but the amount of people that have joined this are quite frankly astonishing. I'm just going to let you in on a little secret. These are not small people. These are the legends of everything you grew up as a child and beyond, and now too. So if you're at scifiction.com, go check out this article on John Peel. And if you like video games, especially retro style, and Incubate 8 and SpaceBot Interactive has the new Dracula Dark Reign on pre-order on April 28th. A lot of other news coming out. We just got back 2026 Writers and Illustrators of the Future Award and 37th Annual Illustrators of the Future over on Hubbard Achievement Awards. This is the winners, Bafu, Runzaburg, and Slovakia. These are the winner of the Grand Prize Illustrator. This is amazing. We got to go to the gala. We sat in the ballroom. That's like a Circus Soleil thing with all these wild swords, fantasy. The guy that did the art, he's absolutely phenomenal. Worked on Aragon, the dragon. All. This lady here in the middle, that is Jannica Mikkelsen, the famous Norwegian commercial astronaut for SpaceX, and she was the commander that docked with the International Space Station. We've got a lot of legends who are at this. Anderson got to talk with. There's a lot of interview content coming out, so stay tuned for lots of goodies on that. We got more picks too. Kieran, our senior contributor, did this amazing write-up on this event, which was absolutely phenomenal. The red carpet was phenomenal. The event, I highly recommend checking it out. The link is at the bottom here. If you watch the archive, it was live. If you go to this here, the event was streamed on writersofthefuture.com. So if you are an artist or a author and want to submit your work for next year's 43rd annual Writers and Illustrators and Artists of the Future Awards ceremony, please submit it, because this event, as you see all these people here, this was the ballroom. Massive. But we also brought our good friend Evan Morton there, filmmaker who's the executive producer on the documentary that we're working on. If you have not checked out him, go to Blind View Productions. He is just a gentleman. His documentary now is being narrated by Linda Hamilton of Terminator fame, and check that out. It's about wolf dogs, and it's a beautiful film. I would recommend going to his Instagram. He probably has more on that, on Evan Morton. He's got about 18,000 subscribers. It's freaking awesome. There's that. DC finally redeems one of the Batman worst storylines. Gundam Hathaway sequel officially titled The Sorcery of Nymph Circle. And of course, this piece of beautiful news. Chris and me are working on the Dracula film. And this is we'll read the first few sentences. Every few years, Hollywood circles back to Dracula. The capes come out, the castle appear, the blood starts flowing, and audiences promise a bold new vision of Bram Stoker's account. He, sitting on the original 100-something pages, the original missing pieces of Dracula that were taken from the 1897 novel, taken out of the 1897 novel, which there's some juicy stuff that's never been seen before in the light of day, especially in live action, movies, television, you name it. So stay tuned for more Dracula goodness, including the video game Dracula Dark Reign, which you can pre-order April 28th at Incubate. Told me to get that right. Incubate 8, number 8, that's right, games.com. There's another word, games.com. So go to that link at the bottom of that front article and they'll take you to that. Game's insane. We also got some other games coming out too, which you stay tuned for that. Those are going to be awesome too. Thank you, Palmer. Mod Retro, awesome guys. I think I believe we have Jason. Okay, Jason's cool. Let me tell you about Jason. A little cliff notes on him. He's the beautiful gentleman that set this interview up with Ben. He's in the back in the Quantum Leap. He's like our Al Calavici in Quantum Leap. He's down there with Ziggy. He's like, Sam, we're gonna leap. And he was smoking a big cigar in the futuristic 1999 outfit. He's back there. He's a good guy. Made friends with him a while back, and he's representing Ben in the situation we've got going on in the Quantum Leap waiting room. A lot of good news items here. Ben is for people that know my Ben. I'll tell you a little cliff notes. I was researching him. He's done a lot of work in pop culture, movies, video games. I'll let him tell more about himself. I think Elysium. I was surprised. I mean, I love Elysium. If y'all have not seen that movie with Matt Damon, watch it. It's got Jodie Foster in it from Contact. It takes place on Earth. It's kind of like this just total garbage hole. It's like all polluted and everything. And Matt Damon, without spoiling it, gets into some trouble. He's dying, radiation poisoning, basically. And they have to get him up to Elysium Space Station. This is where basically all the poor and just people that just can't afford it live down and suffer on Earth, while all these rich, people live up in the ivory space station called Elysium. And he goes up there, and it is awesome, action-packed, beautiful film. Love the ending. The design works amazing, and Ben worked on all that. But for people watching us, we're on SciFiction, streaming on just about every single channel here, Facebook, Twitch, X, YouTube, you name it. We've got people in the hopper. We've got people on the chat. We're going to activate the chat here. We've got some questions, too. Here's the chat. It's on the back burner. Yeah, we're having a blast. I mean, from comic books to sci-fi to Dracula to military sci-fi to horror. We've got so much stuff. We're going to be traveling in about 5 weeks to Ballymena, Ireland. I'm going to hop into Dublin first. Got to pay my Irish respects. Have a good time there. Then we're going to kick it on down onto Belfast area to Ballymena for the presentation of the documentary that me and Evan Morton's the executive producer on, which is going to feature a lot. I think according to the tally, maybe 40 or 50 legends of science fiction, pop culture, video games, and you name it. And there's a few people we would have liked to have added, but hey, it's tightening up and you missed the boat, unfortunately. Sorry, you know you are, but it's all good. We've got people on there that we just can't add anymore. There's so many that have been added. And the more we add, it's going to be too much to permeate. Because we're trying to make it, not a super long documentary, not like hours and hours long. That being said, there's only a certain amount of stuff we can lay into it, and the narration and the video footage, and it has to be overlaid, and you can only have so many people mentioning them. They have all mentioned beautiful words. We did an article about Pat Mills from Judge Dredd fame. I got up at 1:45 a.m. to get on at 2 a.m. He was in Barcelona, Spain at 9 a.m. Cool dude, man. You know what? He's the bad boy of British comics legend. He was a really good mentor of Chris's, and honestly, this is from Chris's words, not mine. I told him this. He was very humbled. If there would be no Chris McCauley if it was not out for Pat Mills. And Pat Mills, as you know, man, talk about 2080. I mean, I was talking to my web development guys. Wait, I've got the Quality Comics issue of Judge Dredd back when they were Quality Comics issue 2 and 3, 1, 2 and 3. But yeah, that man, that guy, I mean, Chris, of course, too, just permeating through pop culture now. It's getting wild, and we've been honored to have a lot of great people on the show too, like Ben Mauro. You know, he's doing an amazing new book, Huxley. I've been getting guests, just amazing guests. I thank you, Jason, by the way, for bringing. Let's see if Jason's on the back burner. I want him to say hi real quick. Just let him say hi if he wants to. Jason, can you hear us?
Hi, it's amazing to finally meet you.
How's it going, Jason? We're gonna have a little Quantum Calavici there. I don't know if you ever seen that show Quantum Leap, man, but it's really, really cool. I just wanted to say hi, and get to say hi in person.
Same, yeah, I know. I've been wanting to say hi and meet you for forever. And
appreciate you.
I'm glad it's finally here. And
yes, sir. I appreciate you setting this up with Ben too. I was going over some of his work, and it's absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Speaking of Ben, he's right here, so I'm gonna say bye for now. You have a beautiful day, man.
You as well.
I'm gonna talk with Ben, man. I appreciate you setting this up.
My pleasure.
Ben, how's your day going, sir?
Hey, good. Can you hear me?
Yes, I sure can. You're operating on all warp drive and hyperspeed thrusters, man.
Awesome.
You've got a lot of stuff going on. Right quick, I just want to say hi. First off, I was researching all your stuff you've done, and man, that's compendium of awesome, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, it's been years flew by. I think I did another interview the other day, and kind of forget. Like, oh yeah, and then I was on Elysium and did this and
yeah, we were talking about Elysium earlier in the broadcast. What did you do in that? What was your design work, digital work? What was that?
Yeah, so Neil came to us. I mean, we can always say that for the podcast, but Neil came to us basically with 2 sentences of what he wanted to do for his new movie, and we basically designed the whole world as he was writing the script, and basically 2 words on a page to design the whole world. Designing all the props in the world, doing all the keyframe illustrations, like the story moments, all the dramatic moments as he pitched the movie.
Yeah, I love the film. It looks gorgeous, man. It's solid gold, man. I mean, I liked all of his films. District 9 was cool. Yeah. I mean, Elysium's probably one of my favorites just because you got the cool space station and the space. I like the guy that sends up Matt Damon, too. He's a cool cat, man. He's like a rebel, man. He gets him up there. If you've never seen Neil Blomkamp's film Elysium, check it out, fans. You'll love it. It's absolutely phenomenal. And you've done work.
District 9 was one of the reasons I wanted to get into film, or I really want to go work at Weta because of District 9. I was like, oh man, I'd love to work for Neil Blomkamp on Neil Blomkamp's next movie, and I felt like New Zealand and Weta was maybe the best way to do that, and was able to luckily get down there and work on his next movie. Yeah.
You think he'll do any more? Because I know he was talking at one point the Aliens. Of course, they did that. They kind of.
I hope so. It'd be a shame if he doesn't do more sci-fi. I told someone else, I remember mentioning this before, it's so rare to have a new director, the first 3 movies be original science fiction.
Yeah, it's all original.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. First 3 movies, original science fiction, that's pretty amazing.
And everything now is they're trying to reboot and resculpt everything. They have original IP. That's what everybody needs, an original IP. Come up with some original ideas like Neil did, and you'll be just good to go, man.
Yeah, I think working on Elysium was one of the first this first time I did anything from nothing to a completely finished movie. And I think that gave me a lot of confidence to work on Huxley, work on my own stuff. Because I saw okay, this is how long it takes. I think it was around 4 years for Elysium, from start to in theater. It's really long process. It takes a long time, and you just kind of get a sense of this is how long it takes to make something big like that, and accepting how long it takes. Yeah.
How long did it take you, just curious, to kind of develop that world? And we'll get into other digital and other things you're going on too. How long did it take to develop something like that?
I think it was at least a year when we were just
Okay.
he was coming up with a script. We were exploring, like, show me what robots look like in this world. Show me what an exoskeleton looks like. Show me what the gangsters look like. Show me what spaceships look like. And it was really like pure world building, like designing a whole world from the ground up. And then it got more specific, uh, like, okay, here's the location we're going to shoot at. Here's like, okay, can you do some ideas on, like, here we're going to be shooting in Mexico over here or something. And it got more specific. Yeah, at least a year, but I think it bled into like most of the production. Like we were just working for like a lot.
You worked with Weta Digital on this, correct? You said
What a workshop.
Yeah. I've met those guys, man. They did a lot of stuff with Lord of the Rings. I mean, that's phenomenal.
Yeah, that was an amazing place to work. So like every day that I would go get my like coffee, it's like you go by the cave troll, like the original cave troll that they scanned, the original Sauron armor, like everything, like it's just like going through like film history of like the original models that they use, like Shelob and like all this stuff. It's pretty once in a lifetime kind of thing. Yeah.
As a young adult, got to go to the Lord of the Rings exhibition. It was a museum exhibit. And they had all the Weta armor, all the screen use swords, the rings. The one ring had this cool chamber with Elvish language projected all over the wall. All the Hobbit feet they piled up in this big case, and it was insane, man. I was like, man, these guys know. And the armor looks so real, like the dents and the scratches and the weathering and all the. It was amazing.
Basically, they basically just like a person that normally builds armor was building the armor and like
didn't they work a little on the Predator franchise or something like that? I want to say maybe some of the armor for some maybe.
I think they did the new one. I think the newest one. Yeah.
Badlands.
Not Prey. Yeah, Badlands. That's right. Yeah.
That was a cool. I mean, it was kind of a different take on. I liked it. I thought it was kind of fun, man. It was like, had like the robot kind of like C-3PO on his back, like in Empire, running around. She's guiding him all the places. Awesome.
Yeah, man. It was good. It felt like I don't know, like old school, like manga kind of storytelling, like Conan the Barbarian, like classic, like hero adventure kind of story. It was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
We're
like
actually
samurai kind of story or something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like samurai action packed. You brought in Weyland Yutani, so you kind of got the aliens colliding with the Predator franchise and all that jazz. We're actually working. Speaking of like Conan, we're working with Del Barris. He came out of retirement to work on this new fantasy project with me and my client Chris, and it's right up there with the Conan-esque, like the big roared out muscles and all the swords and all that. Badass. But yeah, you've done a lot of work in film and in video games too. Can you go over some of the other projects you've done before we get into your new project?
Yeah, I guess some of the bigger ones. Starting out, my first internship was at Insomniac Games, so I worked on like Resistance 3 and some early Ratchet and Clank game. And then kind of went into a lot of Call of Duties. I worked on Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3 and 4.
Okay. Now, what was your development process on the Call of Duties? That's a massive franchise right there.
Yeah. Those were more, I mean, that's a bit more straightforward because it's like, hey, our last game did well. We're working on the new game. We want it to be a bit more sci-fi.
What was the sci-fi one? What was that one called? The sci-fi
Black
one?
Ops 3 and 4 were the ones that I worked on. Three got a bit more sci-fi. I think 4 scaled back a little bit.
Yeah.
Black Ops 3. Yeah.
That was the PlayStation 2 one, or
no,
Black Ops 3.
Black Ops 3. Yeah.
Black Ops 3. That's not sci-fi. That looks like. Get this. I want to see this. I've actually played this one a little bit. Yeah, that's the one with the spaceships.
Yeah, it was a bit more sci-fi. So I did a lot of the drop ships and like some of the robots and weapons and so a lot of it was like they already like the world was pretty established, but it was like helping them push it into the future more.
Sci-fi'd it up there. It just brings in a question, like just hypothetical. If you were to do another type of, I got Call of Duty so popular, but if you were to do a military like sci-fi or near future sci-fi and do some kind of other thing, would you want to do it in this universe per se, or you could do it like you're talking about original IP? You could do original stuff too. And I thought it'd be kind of cool to bring in maybe some aspect of modern warfare just into like the real world. You could parlay because you got these in-store app purchases. You could do a lot of playability with that kind of universe building alone. Huh?
Yeah.
Because Call of Duty, their last game honestly didn't do that. It wasn't as big as it was, back in. It's not as popular, according to the fans.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see because like Microsoft just bought the whole thing, so it'll be interesting to see where they go from here.
Maybe there's something new they could create or something. Who knows, man? I always like the games. They're fun to play.
Yeah, I mean they keep bouncing back and forth between like modern and future, modern, future, past, and they kind of like.
What they could do is kind of do what they did with Tom Clancy's, was it Splinter Cell or something like that?
Yeah, yeah,
Like a little bit near future, but not so far in the future, maybe like 2 to 5
yeah.
years or something like that.
I
Keep it
missed Splinter Cell.
grounded,
That was
but
awesome.
with just a hint of future tech, like AI or something like that. Or
Yeah, keep it pretty grounded would be awesome.
yeah.
Outside of that, the last one I worked on was Halo Infinite. That was the last game I shipped.
That's
That
an
was
insane
pretty
game. I
awesome.
love that game. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Do you like the Halo story for fans of Halo? And I love Halo too. You got Cortana and all the goodness. Here's Cortana right there. But yeah, the franchise of Halo. Let's talk about that for a second. I mean, it doesn't span just video games. It spans novels, television, products, books. Just curious, if what do you see for the future of that franchise? I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on. They had the film. I mean, the TV, maybe a film or something. They had the animated film.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see just like more great games. Like what drew me to the old Halo games was like the Master Chief story, and like it felt like you were on some giant,
Planetoid or
big intergalactic adventure story. Like, but it was very grounded around the soldiers, and it was very heroic stories. And I'd love to see them get back to more of those kind of stories.
Which brings into the question: you've done movies, you've done video games, and you've got a new project that we're here to talk about. Can you talk a little bit about this new project? I believe it's like a post-apocalyptic sci-fi graphic novel.
Yeah,
like that.
A graphic novel series called Huxley. Was working on it for about 10 years or so. The first two books are out. The third book is finished and should be coming out maybe end of the year, or early next year, in bookstores worldwide. The first book is much more of a traditional graphic novel series.
Yes,
like a European, like heavy metal, Mobius kind of style.
I love heavy metal.
The new book's a bit more of a Simon Stålenhag, like a visual storybook, but is the prequel to this book. And yeah, this is some images from the first book. It's a bit more hand illustrated, and the new book is a bit more like almost like movie or game production art, like more photoreal, like looks like you're reading a movie almost. So it's a few different styles for different audiences, but yeah.
Well, you got some art
finishing my first trilogy, yeah.
Right. I mean, this is absolutely stunning art. I mean, you got a few preview pages that they sent. Jason sent these, I believe, this morning. And let me get this on. I got so many tabs. I got 50 million tabs open here on this thing. Here we go. So the artwork here, that is a robot, I believe, correct? Like some kind of.
Yeah, that is Huxley. Orange robot.
That is Huxley. Okay, cool.
That's Huxley. And I guess the basic premise is these two Ronin soldiers are in the red armor, find Huxley as they're scavenging out in the wasteland, and take him back to the city and repair him, and unlocks all these secrets buried deep within him, and kind of go on this big globe-trotting adventure that can kind of change the fate of the galaxy or their planet as they know it. And pursued by a big evil robot.
He's got data, like a data memory or something. They start archiving. They're going through.
And this was all like pencil on paper, hand illustrated by me. The second book is a bit more help. There's two other artists help in the second book, Nicholas Gecko and Steve Wang. And yeah, but the first book is where it all started, where like the kind of all the designs and characters came from, and now it's kind of growing and taking on life of its own.
How many books are complete? How many books you have, and are you any more to come? Or there's no compendium in the graphic novel?
Yeah. The third book is all done, and these are in bookstores worldwide now on Amazon. There's some special deluxe versions from Read Only Memory, who do some amazing books. They did like the 30 Years of PlayStation book and some other video game books.
Yeah.
So they're the publisher of that. They do an incredible job. And the third book is done. We're finding the best window to release that. There might be some early pre-sales before end of the year, but it should be like in bookstores, same kind of thing worldwide next year. And then the next book, which is the final story in the trilogy, that might, I'm still figuring out, that's like almost done, but I'm figuring out if that might be a manga series. So we're talking to some publishers to see if that might, we're seeing what form that story might take, if it makes sense to do another graphic novel, visual storybook, or maybe it's better suited for a manga series or something different.
For sure. And the artwork's stunningly gorgeous. Who's the artist on this? I know you said you did some pencils.
Yeah, I did everything on the first one. Yeah, I wrote it, illustrated it, drew everything. Yeah, So it's
I figured it was you
pure,
because you
creator.
had said some stuff. I watched a few other interviews you'd done before and doing a little research there. And man, it was man, this is insane. You said the third book's coming out. I got to ask, what was you've done a lot of sci-fi, you've done a lot of video games. What was like the kind of the juice, the inspiration, the kind of that got you into this particular, wanted to make this story, the particular story?
I mean, working with Neil, I think helped
Mhm.
because before that I was working on other people's stuff, and it was just like it's already kind of established, so you don't see that beginning part. But with Neil,
Right.
it felt like, oh, this is how creators I admire build something from nothing, and it was like, oh, okay, this is how you do it, and this is how you think about things and turn an idea and let it grow.
Yeah.
And so I think working with Neil really gave me a lot of confidence to try to do this myself.
Mhm.
But the spark was maybe um, in school. I really drew on paper and like illustrated things by hand, and like
Right.
working in film, you start getting away from that a lot because it's like everything's got to be uh, photoreal. It's got to be done really quick,
Right.
and you start doing all these techniques, and it got further and further away from like
Mhm.
maybe feeling like I was an artist.
Yeah.
So it's like photo bashing or using 3D and doing all this stuff. And the core of Huxley was like I could still go home and hand draw things and paint things by hand, and there's a lot of character and personality I think that people respond to because
For
it was
sure.
done
For sure.
so handmade like this.
Would you want to do, if possibly approach, take this IP and develop it into either animated or a live action type motif for streaming or movies? Or
Definitely. Yeah,
worth
I
doing?
mean, we're definitely exploring all options right now. We did some trailer adaptations for the first two
Saw that.
books, which have
Yeah.
done very well. But for long form, yeah, it just takes the right partners and the right teams, and definitely exploring all options on that side
I
of things.
think this would be something that people, an appetite, people would love to have this. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff now that's set in like, the post-apocalyptic, like Fallout and other things, which are very cool because it's not really about what happened. It's about what happened to the characters, and it's a
Yeah,
character-driven drama. Like people don't understand, like people do watch show, but like for instance, Walking Dead. Hey, it's not about the zombies. It's about the people that survived the apocalypse that are dealing with the zombies in the background. They're the main focus in the story, right? So I mean, I love that, and this book is phenomenal. I've not got a chance to read all the stuff, but I've been looking over it, doing as much research as possible. It's absolutely gorgeous.
thank
Um,
you.
yeah, no problem, brother. I mean, video games. I mean, this could be a video game too, if you think about it.
Yeah, we've done some early demos and prototypes, but
Hmm.
again, with like TV shows, like it just takes the right partner, and I think we're getting close. But it's like it just takes the right partner that can make something great. Like I don't want to just make something that I hopefully
Of
want to make
course,
something great for the first game
you make something
that will
cool and
benefit.
people enjoy.
Yeah,
Of course.
yeah.
What would, if you were to do this IP into a television series? I think it might be good as a television series or a mini series, something like that, maybe because you could do episodic, and tell the story, or a
Yeah.
big budget film or a trilogy or whatever. What would you want to take the first book, adapt into a film, or do an original story, or what would you want to do with that?
Well, we've kind of explored a lot of things because each book is
Mhm.
very different in time. Like the first book is much more of like an adventure story.
That one.
This is much more of like almost like gladiator Dune-sized war
Yeah, I love
story. So
the
like
art in that. I saw some of that. Yeah.
each one could be very different. So the original, some of the early exploration was like this being adapted into more like a almost like Mandalorian sized
So I'm saying
scale
it
like
has
TV
that
show.
Mando vibe. Yeah.
Because it's a bit more long form. It's a bigger story, and then this was almost we were thinking would be pretty amazing for a game, but it could also be an animated film as well. But I think a game could suit the second story pretty well.
Mhm.
Uh, but each one's pretty, and then the third book is a bit more younger, like when they're
Yeah.
teenagers, so it's like a young adult kind of story. So that
That's right.
could
You
be very
could
different also.
basically permeate all audiences from young adult to the whole spectrum, which, if you think about it, that's a pretty big, wide range of,
Yeah,
audience there with the, the whole sci-fi apocalyptic awesomeness.
yeah,
Got to
that's what
ask,
it's doing. Yeah,
yeah, I got to ask, being so involved in gaming and all the aspects of the entertainment industry for creators, not just indie creators, but people that are already doing stuff, maybe stuff at your level. What would you like to see people, whether whatever age they are, getting into this industry? What are some words for them based on all your work and compendium of all the stuff you've done that you could kind of, not just inspire them, and kind of give them some guidance to what, wait, this is what you need to do here. But if this goes down, some words of galactic wisdom.
I think one of the main things is just not giving up. Like if you really want to do this, like keep going, because it never really works out the way you think. But if you keep going, something will eventually happen.
Yeah.
And also like pick the story and the things that hopefully only you like everyone has a very unique upbringing.
Of
Like
course.
there's things that are similar, but I feel like tell the story that hopefully only you could tell, or make the thing that you want to see that no one else is making. A lot of Huxley came from there's a specific movie in my head that I wanted to see that, and no one was making this, and it's like, well, then I gotta make it, you know. And I think a lot of great films and things come from that place. Like, I really want to see this movie. Why is no one making this movie? It's like, well, I got to make it, you know, or I got to write this, or I got to make this book. So I think that's a good place to start from for creators. Yeah.
We've got a question here. Brooke Woods Bechtel, producer, says you've built worlds that feel real enough to step into, but if you stripped everything away, no budget, no studio, no safety net, what story would you choose to tell right now and would love to work with you, she says.
Like which Huxley story, or just any story?
I guess any story is what she means, I guess.
I don't know.
You built worlds, yeah, any story.
I mean, I really love just stories that, like, very human stories that kind of are like kind of touch you on a deep level. Like I keep going back to a lot of like old Miyazaki animated films. Like are very meaningful to me, and like those will live on forever. Like even thinking about some of his movies, like I get choked up just some of the things he created. So I'd love to hopefully make something someday that affects an audience the way his films affected me, and means something to audiences as much as other people's films have meant to me and stories have meant to me. Yeah.
It's a great, better answer than I could say. Neil influenced your work. He's had a lot of stuff from robots like Chappie. I always thought that movie was a very interesting film, just from the standpoint not of artificial intelligence, but just from the fact that he could back up his memories were backed up in another robot, but his creator's memories were backed up into a robot. And then, don't want to spoil too much of the film if you haven't seen it. But, storytelling is very powerful. And you've definitely got an knack for it here with Huxley. I'm just curious, is there any other avenues like horror or other things you'd want to parlay into, things you may have ideas that you might want to, get in other genres or other, side steampunk, cyberpunk, I mean, whatever.
I think there's so much to do on Huxley that it would be a very long time before I tried something very different. Unless it's like someone else's project, but like I would prefer, like, I'd rather make like a horror story within Huxley in the world, like
zombie robots,
genre, but within Huxley. Yeah. There's a lot of there's a bit of that. I mean, in the Oracle book, there's a little bit of this. So there's a lot of flavors that I feel can make work within the thing I made. Yeah.
What are some, like, just growing up, what are some of your favorite like sci-fi franchises or films and things? A couple of them that you really like, wow, this is really inspired, you just enjoyed as a kid or a young adult?
I mean, I grew up on, I was like a kid of the 80s, so like I grew up on like James Cameron, like Aliens, Terminator,
The
Abyss, action movies, The Abyss, definitely a lot of like Japanese and French influence too, like a lot of Akira, Ghost in the Shell, Miyazaki's films, of course, and a lot of like Mobius and heavy metal from France, Meta Barons I really enjoyed, maybe a bit later, not when I was a kid, but and of course, like Transformers and cartoons and stuff growing up, like Dino Riders. That wasn't a huge one, but I remember the toys. The toys were very memorable to me.
Dino Riders, I never got one. The little
figures. I remember it blew my mind. I just got like this T-Rex with like tech on him. I'm just like, my little kid brain like just like exploded. Like, oh my god!
It's like sci-fi dinosaurs with
dinosaur and sci-fi. Oh my god! It's like the most 80s thing ever.
It's super cool. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I saw Dino Riders, the one with the walks and everything, and I'm like, I want that. I never got to get it, man. They're like collector
Ninja Turtles. Some of those Ninja Turtle toys were really awesome back then too.
Turtles, I mean, that was my jam. And Turtles, Transformers, and G.I. Joe. And I guess you throw in Star Wars, and it's pretty much everything. Probably. I mean, I've gone through
and Star Wars, Dune.
There's so much good stuff, man.
We had a lot of good stuff, yeah.
I mean, if you had to pick between Star Wars and Star Trek and, say, Stargate, what's three or all? Or because we got a lot of fans of pretty much every genre in this whole thing.
I like all of them for different reasons. I love the visuals of Star Trek were never crazy to me, but the stories were so like Deep Space. Is it not Deep Space Nine, but Next Generation? I just remember a
Yeah.
lot of those stories like really they kind of went in some really interesting places story wise.
Voyager did
Even
too.
though
That was wild storytelling in that, man. Some
I
of the
don't know if
episodes.
I don't know if I got into Voyager. I have to check that out.
TNG was
Um,
really
and then what else? Stargate has some. I love the Stargate movie. I don't know if I got too far into the shows, but I really
series
enjoyed that
takes it
first
to a
movie.
whole nother galactic steroid level, man.
And
And
then
a good one.
yeah, and Star Wars, of course, I liked Star Wars a lot. And there's another one that was pretty interesting. What was it Battlestar Galactica, that TV
Oh,
show?
Battlestar
I got
Galactica.
into that. I got into that later, but like I really liked the long form storytelling, especially the ending. I don't want to spoil anything, but like the way they wrapped that up was like really interesting to me, like how they tied that all together.
Yeah.
Um, some cool
The one
writing. Yeah,
I've been enjoying that franchise for Battlestars now. It's like this is the original, and then you of course got the reboot Ronald D. Moore you're probably talking about, right?
yeah. The whatever was the last one with like Starbuck, um, the
That
Starbuck
was an
character.
insane series, man. I mean, I tell you, all sci-fi and pop culture aside, that particular series that was the remake or the Ronald D. Moore universe of Battlestar Galactica was probably one of the coolest science fiction
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
adaptations,
yeah.
yeah, of science fiction that was ever made. Because like if you think about it, it's not remade, it's resculpted in that motif. And I mean, there's some cool scenes in there, like the one when Apollo had to go on that asteroid to secure like water, some mineral, and he goes through the conveyor belt, man, not even knowing if he's even going to be able to get out the other side. I mean, that was insane. And
I was watching
Pegasus,
some of
man,
that recently. I forgot how clever they were with stuff too. Like
well,
the one character that's like the girl in the red dress, like only
mm-hmm,
he sees it and he's talking to it, but they cut between like someone
yeah.
else talking to him. Like, what are you doing? And he's just like, oh, like, oh, no one else
Trisha
can
did a
hear this
great job
person.
with it,
No one
man.
else can
And
hear this person. Right. Okay. Anyways, like they did a that's pretty cool. Some stuff.
And the cool thing about Galactica that I've always found very, very fascinating is not only does it pull from like the original, especially with the Egyptian and Mayan and mythology, it could have happened because it's ancient astronaut theory. You think about it in
Right.
the
Right.
series, these people came from colonies, 12 colonies out in deep space, and the mythical 13th colony is us. So there you go. So, or and original at least the new one's a little different, but still very keeps on the same theme. The
I
wagon
like the way
train to
they
the
handled
star.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the way they did it, where it was like Earth is. There's been
Mhm.
many Earths, and this is the one. Like this is our Earth now.
That's
Um,
what they said was this has all happened before. It'll
right.
happen
Right.
again. This makes
It's
it very
pretty cool. I really enjoyed that
what
sense.
gets into this concept. I mean, if you talk about robotics, you've got Huxley, the graphic novel. If you think about, and I was talking about this with a friend of mine, he's a freaking genius, more than I am, but I'm not nearly compared to he is. But if you think about memories, like, like memories, you're talking about memories, like from Blade Runner. But the thing is, memories it can be into electronics, AI, or whatever, but also
Mhm.
can be inside a real person's head because memories
Yeah.
permeate into digital receptors, neurons, capacitors, into what the brain is the most powerful machine that creates. We created all these electronics and live streams and all this stuff with the human brain, which brings up a good point. If the human brain can build all this stuff, what do you see for the future of just everything like Battlestar? Think about that, the AI factor with the Cylons. What do you see the future of that kind of storytelling, Kuz and Huxley as well, for the future of just all, not just sci-fi, but in general? What do you see that kind of that to the next level? And if you had to say something for that.
I don't know. It's pretty. It's gonna be pretty interesting. Like, I mean, a lot of the stuff they explored in those, or even like Blade Runner, right? Like,
Oh, I love
where we can basically create artificial humans that are basically almost identical.
that.
Um, and then like in Blade Runner, where it's like, oh well, yes, they're created, but they can't reproduce, and that was kind of like the plot point in that, like, oh, it happened, it was a miracle or something. Like,
Right. You're talking about with 2019 with the Blade Runner 1 with Rachel.
yeah, like they were built to not have that functionality or that ability, and it did happen, or they imply it happens, and yeah, it's gonna be fascinating if we see that in our lifetime. So.
Yes. Upload some memories of us sitting on a beach enjoying a vacation. That's awesome. Yeah, but I just think this stuff's so. I mean, sci-fi has always been fascinating. Even since I was a little kid, like my dad, he kind of introduced me a lot of this stuff. TV, they had TNG and all this stuff rolling on TV as well. My dad would slowly slip me, like, I'm old, or VHS tapes. So like it was Star Wars, then Empire Strikes Back. Then he would slip me the Shatner Star Treks, and got Battlestar a little later off of a online, or actually it was a physical catalog. I think it was called the Intergalactic Trading Company or something. Had some Battlestar VHS. But then you get permeated through the animation, like you mentioned, The Cure and Ghost in the Shell and anime films, and just so much. And then when we grew up in the 80s and 90s and late 70s too, there's just this golden age of just amazing original creative IP that they're all trying to reboot and remake now, of course. But Huxley is absolutely phenomenal. Can you tell everybody not only where to find Huxley, but what is the location? You mentioned some stuff with digital or some trailers. Where do they find all the stuff about Huxley?
Yeah, you can go to huxleysaga.com as the main website. You can find the books on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide, and Barnes & Noble and whatever equivalent in your country. Read Only Memory has the special edition books. You can follow us on Huxley Saga at YouTube for trailers and a lot of updates. The YouTube's been doing really well and growing a lot, so like that's maybe pretty active. But also we're available on different socials and everything. Yeah.
You've got Insta too. I think it's on here. Facebook's on you. What's your social handles for people that want to follow your page on Insta?
It should be Ben Mauro Design. I think my benmaurodesign.com is my personal site, and that should have a lot of links to all my personal channels as well. Yeah.
Well, I got to ask one more final bonus question on the roster. We've got on the Galactic Awesome. If you could be or do anything in your time that would, send a positive message or from your own words beyond Huxley, maybe in the next 20 years or so, people to take from your work, say long after you're gone and float it into a digital memory or whatever, what would that be, man?
I think maybe something like, no one's going to save us. We have to save ourselves. Like, take the initiative and do our best and make a difference in our lives. And it's up to us to change things. And I think it's a worthy battle to fight. Yeah.
Well, I like that, man. I really want to thank you, Ben, for joining us today on the Galactic Transmission of Sci-Fiction. I hope you have a beautiful afternoon, and I hope to see you back soon when you get some more stuff with Huxley going, man.
Definitely. Can't wait. Thanks so much for having me.
You too, brother. You have a good day, man. Till next time.
See ya.
Peace.